Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening, wherever you're joining in from, and welcome to another bonus session of the Lead Gen series. This month in September, we have been running the Lead Gen series in Zenler, where we try to share strategies with you that can help you get more leads, eventually leading to more people in your pipeline and turning into conversions. We have discussed multiple over the past 2 weeks. We've talked from LinkedIn outreach to Facebook outreach to creating an irresistible offer, creating your landing page, having Instagram optimization, and doing your reels as well. Each lesson is individual in its nature, whichever works for you best according to the target audience and the program that you're offering. You can pick up any session at any moment and get started with it. That's how we're trying to build it so that you don't have to be independent and you have to go and watch each session one after another. Pick up any, use the strategy, implement it, and see the results working for yourself. And today's session is a bonus session with Kevin, and we are going to be talking about how to rank with SEO. Kevin is going to be here any moment. SEO is a search engine optimization strategy which helps you get leads organically, primarily through writing blogs and organically ranking on keywords. And Kevin is an expert at SEO, and he'll be the one who will be guiding you through today. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, my mate, thank you very much. Great to be on the Lead Gen month with Zenler.
How are you doing today? Thank you so much.
Yeah, really good. Thank you very much. Good, excited to be able to get this out to people so they can learn just a little bit more. If you pick one thing up today, then it will be a good session for me. So looking forward to this.
Yes, absolutely. We would love to know that, how SEO works. And, one question, curious, in the world of paid ads, is SEO still working today?
Yes. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
sure.
SEO, it's a big phrase, right? And I talk about this in the boot camp that we ran for Zenler. Lots of people get scared about it. Lots of people think it's this massive, complex series of mathematical equations to make stuff work, and you've got to be some sort of genius to operate it. And that's not the case.
Right.
SEO is doing lots of little bits correctly, right? And
It
anybody
is.
can do it. Anybody can optimize their content. That's what it's really about, right? Forget the search bit. It's about optimizing content. Anyone can do it. You just got to understand some of the basics behind it to start going in and making it work for yourself. And that's what we're going to cover today.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to learn that, how to actually make sure that we have an inflow of leads coming in through SEO, and primarily how long does it take? All over to you.
Awesome. Well, first thing is I'll dispel the myth that you optimize your stuff and suddenly the world opens a floodgate of inquiries. It doesn't quite work that way. Anything that you do organically on your content, on your websites, on your Zenler sites, wherever it is, whatever you do organically, always takes time and it's built up over time. Ads have an immediate reaction. Go and pay $1,000 for an ad. You expect a return on that ad. And often when you talk to ad experts, they'll give you a cost per conversion based on what you've put into clicks to going through, which is why Facebook has all of these different pixels you can put in for different things, and other ones do as well. When you look at organic optimization, which is what we're going to be talking about today, it works as it builds up. It's like the compound effect. You do a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and then suddenly you'll start noticing there's more traffic coming through, more relevant traffic coming through. Then you'll suddenly start getting a few emails or a few phone calls, or something starts to happen that hasn't happened before. And that's the way that you do it and build it correctly. Lots of people will go out and they'll say, right, I've worked out my SEO strategy. I'm going to write 30 blog posts, publish them all in one day, and suddenly I'm going to get a whole heap of traffic. And it doesn't work that way. In fact, it has the reverse effect. You can over optimize. You can also do too much too quickly. And the search engines, and it's not just Google, remember, we've got Yahoo, we've got Bing, there's loads of search engines out there. They'll suddenly go, this is unnatural behavior for this site, and therefore we're watching you And we're not going to give you what you want right now because we're watching you to see, are you just trying to use us to get a quick hit? Or are you genuinely a site of authority that over time will provide value to their customers, i.e. the people searching? So too much too quick is bad, right? Unless you do paid ads, that's a completely different story. What we're going to be talking about is gently does it a little bit each day, each week, and make it part of your routine for your week to make sure you optimize something and optimize everything going forward. And when you do that in a natural fashion, you might be an avid blogger. For me, someone that writes 3 blog posts a week, right? That's someone that's quite committed. But if you optimize them as you go, you never have to go back and redo it. If you look at one of my sites, we've got 1,500 blog posts on there, right? We're in the process of going back, rewriting, updating, and re-optimizing, but we're doing 5 a week, right?
Right.
We publish
I think
almost daily.
the re-optimization bit which you mentioned, is that where, if you have a year in there, so you change the year 2023 to 2024, or you talk about some statistics, is that a re-optimization of the blogs?
No, because what that will probably do is break all your links.
Yeah.
So if you go in and change the URL and it's an aged URL, i.e. a year plus, what you need, if you're going to do it, you then need to set a redirect up on the original one so it doesn't
Right.
break it, right? If you just go in, change, edit and update, wherever you've shared it on Facebook or maybe another website has cited your piece of content as a source, it will just go, it doesn't exist anymore, broken link. And what they'll do, and any decent web developer will do, is go broken link, destroy link, we're not connecting with you anymore because you've given us a negative on our site. We don't want broken links, right? It's bad.
Right.
So never change a link when it's been out and shared. Always redirects it and then you can update it, right? Do it that way because then it will be good. But let's start at the beginning because I know a lot of Zenler people are very, very new to this type of thing. And I want to give them an overview as to where you have to start with this. And it always starts with the basics. Now, I assume that people in Zenler, we've talked about this since the dawn of Zenler, knowing your ideal clients and all of that stuff. We all know that, right? This is not new. What is new is understanding the keyword research part of this. Now, to make SEO work for your business, you have to thoroughly research your key phrases correctly. Now, a key phrase is not, I use key phrase because that's what it is now, right? People used to use keyword research. We don't use a singular word anymore, right? It's too broad. It's far too broad. Just to say, so for example, if we was to use Zenler as an example, we wouldn't optimize for the word course because it means nothing. It's if you put course with something else, there's hundreds of thousands of searches that could be, right? And I might be looking for a course on learning to change a tire, for example. And if Zenler comes up, that's not relevant, right? So I don't want to be found for that. What I want to be found for is the UK's #1 course platform. That to me would be a key phrase. Okay,
Correct.
so it's longer. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go to somewhere like Ahrefs, ahrefs.com or Ubersuggest and use their free tool and type in what you think a key phrase would be that would suit your business. So as an example, and today I'm all about the garages today, right? So let me give you an example of what if I was researching it for a garage based in London, I may well type in affordable car repair in Chelsea. Now, why do I say Chelsea and not London? Because anyone that knows London knows if I'm looking to optimize a business locally, which a car repair service would be a garage, would be local market. London's a big area, right? It goes all the way from East London, all the way to West London, to North London, to South London. And to go from north to south could take you 3 hours. East to west could take you even longer if you're driving and going through city. So I don't want to optimize for location, too big a location. I want to narrow it down. So my garage is going to be in Chelsea. So I would go into Uber Suggest or RFs and go, right, affordable car repair in Chelsea, and see what comes up. Now, one of the very popular phrases that's coming up at the moment for location businesses is ending it with near me, right? And that's a really hard one to naturally add into your content. How are you going to write that in? Oh, if you're looking for a car service near me, it makes no sense, right? Makes sense for the search engines, doesn't make sense for the reader. So although it will come up with suggestions like that, they're not useful for you as the content creator to use it. Just nail it down for location if you have a location business, or if you don't have a location business, and I recognize a lot of Zenler users are global, nail it down for the service or problem that you are solving. Okay, so if we look at, let's not use a garage because a garage is only a physical business. Let's use my favorite one, psychotic cat training. So if I've done a course on psychotic cat training, and it's specifically for Persian cats, right? I might go into Uber Suggest or RS and go psychotic cat training for Persian cats and see what it comes up with. And it will come up with associated words, questions even sometimes that people are asking and things like that. And the goal of this is, and I'm spending so much time on this because if you get this bit right, everything else is easy, right? Most people get this wrong. The software that you use to research, and I've given you 2 free ones you can use to start with, are really, really good because they give you up-to-date information. So this is why you should be doing this every probably 3 months as a minimum. And I say that because trends do change. Business trends and search patterns change. And what was good this year in the search might not be good in 12 months in the search. People might be looking for something slightly different. Colloquialisms, people's words and phrases that they use change. They suddenly call something different and you don't know they've done that. So doing this process, once we've done the first one and we've got our dictionary, our log of phrases we want to use, maybe 20 or 30, I would suggest is a good starting point. Then make sure you go back and check those every sort of 3 months or so, just to make sure you're still on track and you're staying current with what's being currently searched for. Now, when you search for your keywords, don't go for the ones that have got 100,000 views for the month. You'll likely find they're very difficult to rank for. You'll probably find that it's got a dual meaning behind that search phrase, as in 2 things can be the same thing. And you'll probably find that most bigger companies will be spending a lot of money to dominate in the paid search rank for those phrases. So they'll give you a difficulty of probably difficult, medium to difficult. We want to go to start with for the easy wins, right? So that's less searches, but easier to be found for. So as an example, one of the clients that I work with at the moment, we are targeting a particular search term that gets, according to some of the research we've done, about 25 views per month, 25 searches per month on this particular key phrase. However, it's a buying intent key phrase. And also what happens is their minimum order value is 75,000. So if they pull 2 of those people in, so that's less than 10% in as a client from that search, they're really happy, really happy. So they don't need to go for the larger amounts for the lesser products. They're going for the smaller amounts with a higher chance of ranking for it to get the bigger sale. And for them, it's working really, really well. So put all that into a pot and come up with your keyword research and put it in a document and have this as your document. Print it off, put it on your wall by your PC, your laptop, wherever you work, put it on a Google Doc, keep it at the very front of your mind, because what will happen is if you start to use those words, and they should be naturally flowing in your everyday language, in the lives that you do, in the copy that you write, and it becomes part of your business speak, if you want to call it that. When you come to write your content and your updates, you'll naturally start including these keywords, these key phrases. And this is where it becomes really powerful, because I said right at the beginning, we can over optimize. If we go into the days of WordPress and things like that, and people still use things like that and plugins, it gives you this traffic light system of you've got to do this here and that there and that there, and it's not got enough mentions of that key phrase within your long piece of content, blah blah blah, blah, and all of that. And I think that's quite dangerous to an extent, as what will happen is people will either keyword stuff, which means you use the key phrase to satisfy the needs of the plugin to get a green light, rather than to satisfy the needs of the consumer, i.e. the reader, or the search engines, right? So they're three completely different things. The priority should always be the consumer, right? Read what you write. Does it make sense? Does it feel awkward having that key phrase in there? If it does, take it out. If it makes sense, leave it in, because that satisfies the search engines, but don't over optimize a piece of content based on what a plugin tells you. Now in Zenler, we don't have that, right? We have the ability to add your key phrases in. I'll tell you how to add it into your content as well. And that will be really good for you. So keyword stuffing is a big no. We need to build a library of key phrases that we can print off, put on our wall, keep wherever we need to. So it's really mindful and we see it every day, right? And then every 3 months update it. Now, we can optimize things like, let me just go through a couple of little bits that you can think about whilst you're working on your Zenler stuff. So this is practical stuff you can think about. My mate said about going back and re-optimizing stuff as we go, and we can do that, but you can think about this when you're considering the SEO for your Zenler sites and your pages. Using keywords in your titles, your page titles, and things like your URLs, of course you can do it. You know, you need to be a little bit mindful of your page titles not being too long, not like War and Peace. An ideal length to aim for as an absolute maximum would be 60 characters for a page title. If you go over that, it tends to be cut off anyway, and it just becomes waffle. So your page titles need to be really good and clear. The same with your meta descriptions. When you write meta descriptions and Kayla's all over these, you need to make it appropriate to what it is that you're writing the description for. So things like that, things like optimizing your URLs. How can I make a URL fit my key phrase? You can't. Work out what your page title will be. It will normally pull in from the page title the URL. So whatever your domain is, /, that's it for the title of the post. You can change that and you can edit it. So if it's uncomfortable, it doesn't make sense, edit it, make sure that it's as appropriate as it needs to be. And remove the unnecessary words in your URLs. So if it is pulling stuff up for you, then, you know, get rid of it. So what else can we do to optimize stuff? So we've looked at key phrases, that are really important to us, and we need to include those within our content. And our content being, if we write a sales page, if we write a blog post, if we write a opt-in funnel, a giveaway page, if we write a webinar page where we're encouraging people to join a webinar for us, that's where we can add all of that content. We can also add it into social media updates. There's absolutely no reason why we can't, and you'll find we'll talk about hashtag strategies another day, but you can include it in that as well. But going further than the content, we can add it. We've got other things that we need to look at. Page speed and stuff like that. Zenler's pretty much got you covered. If you had your own hosting, you should be very mindful of that. But as far as we're concerned, Zenler pages tend to load quite quickly, front facing. You can do stuff like make sure that you optimize your images, you know, things like tiny PNG and things like that will shrink down the size of an image. I'm a big supporter of embedding video onto pages. I think it plays faster and it speeds up the loading of a page rather than adding a video block in and pulling it in and actually having it on the page. It's different. So I quite like embedding videos, but I don't like embedding them from YouTube because it has that horrible YouTube play next thing at the end of it and it looks horrible. So you decline on the user experience from that point rather than delivering a really slick and great experience for people. So getting back into the content side of things, what else can we do for optimizing our websites, our Zenler sites? Interlinking is really good. Excuse me. So interlinking means if we were to write a blog post for my psychotic cat site, and I was going to write my favorite one is bathing a psychotic cat. I've written a blog post on this because it's off to sell a course and whatever. But as I go through, I'm talking about maybe some of the supplies I would use for a certain type of cat. If I'd written another blog post about a psychotic cat that was a tabby cat, for example, and I was writing this bathing a psychotic cat, and I was talking about the different types of materials you can use to bathe the cat, I might cite the other blog post and link it over and go, you know, I don't need to go and have a look here. I can highlight the words and say, this is where you need to go and have a look. It's hyperlinked. So if you're interested in this section of the blog post, go and have a look over there, right? So that works quite well. Of course, one of the main things with search engine optimization is the quality of content. Now, I've been making content for a long time. And when I say a long time, I'm talking before really WordPress, well, actually before WordPress even had a blogging area on it. We worked on a different system that was run by a UK company, and we learned to blog over there and what that meant and blogging for business. And quality of content has always been a priority. And people talk about it now because the internet's become fuller with stuff. And now people are going, well, you know, the search engines want good quality stuff. The search engines have always wanted good quality stuff. That has never changed. So what it does mean, though, is people have decided good quality means huge in length, but that doesn't give a great user experience. So you have a couple of years ago, there was a thing called microblogging, right? Let's write 100 words for a blog post and that'll be great. No, it won't. Google now have said quite clearly, because microblogging was a thing, we don't want that. Go and put it out as a tweet on X or whatever it's called these days. If you're going to write articles and you want us to show them to our users when they search and you've optimized it for this, we want quality content focused on one thing. So if you write a blog post, focus it specifically on one thing. Don't waffle, don't go off topic, and give some value to the person who's asked the question and you've given them information that they'll find useful. Do that and we'll optimize it for you and we'll show it, right? It's that simple. So creating useful content has always been really, really easy. Google also, and it's not a secret, it favors using natural language that's easy to read. You know, when you look at some of these plugins nowadays or these content analyzers, they'll say at what level of education this reads at. Well, they don't do that because they like doing it. They do it because there are some search engines do within their algorithm rank you higher for easier to read content. That means laying it out so it reads correctly, using language that isn't baffling or difficult to use. And sometimes with technical sites and technical businesses, that's a bit hard. I get that, but it should be like you're having a conversation and explaining to someone that has zero idea what your business is, right? And that should be the view of all of the content you create. So creating useful and using natural language, i.e. understandable and helpful, will help your content go further. Now, if people ask this question all of the time, and I've researched this, I've looked deeply into this, and my conclusion is as follows. As far as the length of, let's say, a blog post, pages and blog posts are different. So blog posts what's the optimal size for a singular blog post. It used to be about 500 words. We're now ranging between 750 and 2,500 is deemed as quality and optimal content. Anything, as soon as you start getting over the sort of 3,000 to 3,500 mark, really it should become part of a series, and therefore you can use it to interlink the content between, because it becomes too much to read. If you've got a blog post that's 20,000 words, some ebooks are not 20,000 words, right? So you've got to be aware of how your user's going to digest this, and the search engines will not appreciate you having lots and lots of massive long blog posts of 20, 30,000 word blog posts. They won't see that as quality content. They'll see that as overwhelming content. It's too much for them to serve up correctly. So be a little bit careful of that. And if you've written a really awesome piece of content that really goes in depth with something, can you turn it into a series and use some form of silo page to connect all of the series together? That would be the way that it should be done. But of course, the words are not the end of the story, and images are really important in content that we create and for SEO purposes. And the use of alt tags often gets neglected. So the alt tags is the bit of writing on where we describe what's going on in that picture, right? And this is an accessibility thing. You talk to accessibility people, it's a big deal at the moment. So for people that are hard of vision, they suffer, they can't always see everything clearly. They have Google readers, they have screen readers and all of that. It will describe to them what you put in the alt tag as what that image is there. So you can, of course, use your key phrases within it, but you have to make sure it's appropriate to what the image is. So if you've got a dog sitting there and it's a nice golden retriever sitting in a field of leaves, then say that's what it's doing, right? Because that will help you with your SEO, and the search engines will start to trust you because it can see what an image is, it knows what's in it. It's not stupid. Now, outside of our content, we've talked about internal links. Let's talk about other types of links. So we can look at creating what we call backlinks. So there's do follow and don't follow links, right? This is where the search engines will either follow a link to somewhere else, or they'll be told actually don't follow it, right? They don't follow links, they're worthless. They won't benefit you or anybody that you link to externally at all. So we want follow links. So getting a link from someone else has written something on their website or whatever, and they're saying, Joe Blogs is really good at bathing psychotic cats. Go over here, and they're talking about this whole process. It's really, really awesome. Link. That would be a link coming back into my site. So that's a backlink. Now, if the site that put the link on there was a pet supply business, massive, right? That's worth so much because it's talking about animals, it's relevant to my business, it's connected to their business, right? They've got the same sort of audience, so their audience are going to be interested. You know, if they're doing cat treats, for example, about me telling you how to bathe a psychotic cat, right? So that would be really, really useful. And you can go out and ask for these. You can go out and say, can I write an article for your site? If you'll give me a follow link back, I'll do it for free, right? They get good content, you get a link back, everybody wins, right? The only thing I would say is if you decide to shut that link down or delete that post, at least have the decency to let them know if they've linked to you that it doesn't exist anymore, which is why redirects are really good, because it will send it somewhere else and it will still count. Of course, we need to have things like sitemaps, and Zenler, of course, does do sitemaps, and now it automatically updates the sitemaps. It never used to, but it does now. So that's really helpful. Sitemap is just a way of a search engine saying what's on this website without scouring through it all, and it will give a link and it will just tell them about what that page is. And that's a lot of how it will get indexed and will benefit your site. If you don't have a sitemap or a privacy policy on your website, you're in trouble. It will really, really hurt your chances of being found and getting optimized. Having regularly updated content is really crucial. In the blogging world, we talk about writing at least a post a week. This means that Google will see or the search engines will see your site as a regular source of updated and current information. It's as simple as that. That then gives you priority over sites that have not been updated frequently. If they've not been touched for, I think the current thinking is around about, I think it's let's say 3 to 6 months, the search engines will view those sites as dormant, and therefore your rankings will drop, right? So what that means is if you haven't put any content in, you haven't updated anything, you haven't tweaked anything, you haven't added a new image in, you haven't done anything on that site at all, which has updated what you've done and then has updated the search engines, it will say this site is dormant, forget it. If you can't be bothered, we can't be bothered. So watch that one. There are other bits we can get into. Local SEO, I started talking about that with the garage, but then sort of actually it was more appropriate to talk about my psychotic cat. But I think I'll leave it for now. What I would suggest you do, if you've got this far, or you're watching me right now, or you're on the replay, is go back to this and pick out some bits that are useful for you. But even if you sit there and think you've done your key phrase research correctly, go back and do it again. And I don't care if you're a marketer, if you're some form of expert, we're the worst ones, right? A builder always has their house falling down around them, and marketers often neglect the basics of what we should be doing. So even if you're a marketer, you're an SEO expert, come and challenge me, I don't mind. Right, go back and do that key phrase research. And the important bit of it is, this is not a boring process for you to go through. This is a critical process for everything you do publicly. Do it 20 to 30 key phrases that are absolutely relevant, mid to low search volume, so they're easy to rank for. Print them on an A4 sheet of paper, do it in a nice map type thing, however you want to make it look pretty, and bang it next to your computer. Right, if you've got a laptop, put a sticker on it and put it on the back of the laptop, whatever you've got to do, but look at those every single day. And every time you make content, whether it's a social media update, it's a video, until it becomes part of your natural language, look at that sheet. And then when it does, that's the time to go back and reassess it. Go and check it again. Has anything dropped off? Has anything new been added? Can I tweak anything? Right? Because it will be an ongoing, SEO is never done. There is never a point it is finished, ever. No matter how good you are, no matter how well you rank, if you neglect it, you may be up here this week and you go, oh, I've nailed this, I'm doing so well, loads of calls. Well, suddenly 6 weeks go by, you're going, phone ain't rung for a little bit, haven't had many emails come in, let me go and have a look at my stats. And I bet you loads of you have done this. Go and have a look at, oh, hang on a minute, it's all suddenly started drop. Oh, I better go and do something. And then they go back and then they do a bit and it comes up. And this is what you do. You end up and then they go, my business is a roller coaster of business coming in and out, because it's tied to your marketing activities. So stabilize your marketing activities, i.e. your SEO in this instance. Make sure you have a weekly process for it. And you should see consistently steady growth to a point where it will probably level out, because there's only so far you'll go, because there's only so many people searching, right? It can't constantly grow at 150% or whatever it is a day. At some point it will start to level out, and then there'll be little dips and little but not enough to make it noticeable. It will plateau, and then it will go, right, okay, this is the best level I will ever get with this, and I'm just going to keep going here. And then you look at other strategies for marketing your business if that's the case, right? But that's a whole different conversation. So hopefully you found that useful. If you've got questions and you want to ask me, ask away, because I'm here. As I can see 13 of you watching this. So if you've got questions, by all means do throw them at me, ask me. I'm really happy to answer them. If not, I'm going to hand back to my mate and I'm going to go and have a cup of tea.
My favorite bit today was when you said that as marketeers, we are the worst ones because we tend to forget the basics. And the second favorite bit that I liked was that SEO is never done. It's an evolving process. So you do it once and then you feel, okay, I'm done is never the case. You have to go back and you have to make sure that your marketing is on point and it is ever evolving. I think those are the two nuggets I'm taking back today. We
Yeah,
do
it's the
have,
same in all of our business, though, my mate. You know, we get very complacent. We think a job is always done, and in the digital world, it's never done. A website is never
correct.
finished, right? There's always something we can improve upon. Our social media marketing is never finished. There's always something new we can do. There's something evolving. You know, do a reel, do a story, do a this, do a that. Look at our hashtags. Look at trending content. Blah blah. Blah. There's always something to do, and when you sit back, that's when stuff stops happening, which is why you should have a manageable but actionable marketing plan, which includes SEO, that you can do, or your team can do, or you can outsource and pay someone to do, whatever way you want to do it, that creates that regularity in your marketing. Because all marketing is to be successful. There's no skill, as in, there's no secret sauce behind it or anything like that. It's just having a plan, implementing it regularly with useful information for someone that wants what you're doing, right? And just putting it out there. And people watch a lot now, and you never know
Absolutely.
who's watching,
Yeah.
right? That one watcher that was on your live could be your next best customer. You don't know that, right? Because you don't know, they've not liked or done anything, but they've seen you, and that might be your next best customer. You don't know, right? But if you don't
That's
turn up
true.
consistently, you're never gonna know.
Yeah, that's true. You don't know what you don't know. So you need to show up every time and stay consistent with your marketing. That's how you stay in the game and then you win the game.
100%.
Yes. It was a lovely session and we learned so much. There are a couple of questions coming in on the chat. I'm not sure if you've taken a look. There was a question by Francis, I think. Once again, I'll
I
check.
haven't looked.
She said that, would you say that phrases are better than keywords?
Yeah, it's got to be a phrase, a singular word. Like I said right at the beginning, it's too broad, too broad. So key phrase, an absolute push, and I wouldn't recommend it 2 words, but you want to be aiming for three to six is sort of the sweet spot, where you can make it really applicable.
All right. I hope, Francis, that helps you. There's another conversation going about, I think, blog posts.
Okay.
So Anna is asking, what about future pages and blog posts? But that is in relation to another. How long should we wait before changing SEO to improve it? That's another question.
How long should we wait until?
Before changing the SEO strategy, I think that's what she means. Before changing the SEO strategy to see if it is working for us or not.
If you've not got a strategy in place, what I would say, based on what I've learned in the last sort of 2 years, and I've really investigated it in the last 2 years for multiple different types of businesses, is you should start to see a difference within 3 months.
All right.
Right? You should start to see something positive happening, whether that's through your Google Analytics, your Google Search, your Bing webmaster tools, or whatever it is that you're using to look at stuff, right? You should see that maybe you're down here and you're getting 4 or 5 views a day, and that's what it's saying, and that's normally you or your grandmother or your best friend or whatever that's looking at it for you.
Yeah.
But if that's where you are, within, it's probably be sooner than that, but within 3 months, you should, if your key phrases are correct, right, you should start to see a little bit of an increase going on. Now, you'll know whether it's working or not based on a couple of things. A couple of things are you starting to get people interacting with you that haven't interacted with you like that before? So they might be commenting on your blog post, they might send you an email or whatever it is. Also, when you look at things like Google Analytics, what our bounce rate is, right? That's probably one of the most important factors from Google Analytics that you'll get. And you can connect this into your Zenler sites. So a bounce rate is Someone looks at your page and then they immediately come off because it's the wrong thing, right? So if you've got a higher bounce rate, that means loads and loads of people have come on, loads and loads of people have left immediately. That's not good, right? So you want a lower bounce rate. So if what you're doing is getting more views, right, in the numbers, but your bounce rate has gone from, let's say, 50% to 90%, you're probably attracting the wrong people through the key phrases you're targeting.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So you may need to look at, actually, I need to just slightly adjust that. There are words and there are phrases that can be used for different industries. So if you'll know if you're one of those businesses, and whether you fall into that, and some of you might well be, but I'd say stick with it for 3 months. Don't expect an immediate reaction because you won't get one, right? Softly, gently, little bit each week, stick to the strategy, and then look at what's happened in that 3 months. If it looks like it's going in the right direction, carry on, right? And then reassess it again after another 3 months.
all right. Thank you so much for that one. I hope, Anna, that answers your question. Thank you so much, Kevin, for a wonderful session today and so many nuggets. I have absolutely loved it. And anyone who's watching it on replay, please put the hashtag replay, tag Kevin, ask your questions, and we'll be around to answer those questions for you. I hope today's lead gen rank with SEO helped you and gave you insights on how to use SEO as a strategy to get more opt-ins and more eyes, and what is the time that you should be looking at when you want to grow your business with SEO. We'll be back another day with another topic in the lead gen month. We come live thrice, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, 4 p.m. UK time. Thank you so much, Kevin, today.
No problem. Thanks, everyone.